Hi, the one thing about fighting in a relationship is that it tends to escalate. So whatever level you're at now, eventually you're going to hit a new level and then a new level and then a new level. And so what we want to learn how to do is how to disagree and argue in a way that is safe and can be productive and even healthy. Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can avoid it, overcome it, and ultimately move on with your life. So today, everything is coming from page 72 of my book, Do I? You can find it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. So first things first, before you really start having difficult conversations, one thing that's really helpful is to decide the parameters in which you're going to operate before you have a difficult conversation. So here's what I mean by parameters. So one example, which comes from page 72, is no name calling. So no matter what, when we sit down to have a difficult conversation, there is no name calling, period. So these are things like brat, cow, dumb, idiot, curse words, any bad thing you want to say. So anytime you're calling a name, that is a line that you have crossed. It means you're losing control and our conversation is about to escalate. And we don't want our disagreements to be escalated. We don't want them to be a knockdown, drag out fight every time. We want to be able to disagree and continue on in a conversation. So first one is we don't call names. Number two is no yelling. So it's really hard because there is a part of our brains that kind of turns off outside noise when we start to get into that fight or flight. And so sometimes you could be yelling, but you can't hear how loud you are. So oftentimes someone will be like, quit yelling at me. And then you're like, that's not yelling. This is yelling. And then you really yell, right? But truly, if someone tells you you're yelling, even if you don't think you are, I say, believe them. So, okay, I'm sorry, I was yelling, right? So no yelling is number two. Another example would be no cursing. The second you drop whatever curse word you're going to drop, you're starting to activate that person's limbic system, which is getting them to their fight or flight, because there is violence built into profanity. So just take cursing out of your conversations, especially difficult ones, because the odds are already stacked against you. So I would say no cursing. Let me give you one more. Number 4, which there are more you can find from Do I? Number 4 is no interrupting. So if both of you have like a bad habit of interrupting, it really helps to pass something back and forth. So I have this like little thing of lotion right here. So if I'm holding the lotion, then I'm the one who gets to talk, and I'm clearly done talking when I pass it. And then I know that if this is not in my hand, it's not my turn. So that's something that really helps, is to have something that you can pass back and forth. So those are a few examples of parameters, but you could come up with your own. So this is how we know that we are out of control if we cannot talk within those parameters. So if I can't talk to you without swearing at you, without yelling at you, without interrupting you, I'm in no position to have a conversation right now. I'm not in control of myself. So hopefully that's making some sense. So if I can control myself enough to not interrupt, to not yell, to not call names, then I'm in a good space where I can carry out a conversation. But what we do oftentimes as couples is we're like so fed up with whatever it is we're trying to talk about that we don't have any self-control, and now we're going to talk right now. And so every difficult conversation we have, this is how we have it, and it becomes a pattern. And that's the dangerous part of that, because then each time it's a new level of escalation, and they get quicker and shorter times in between. Maybe we used to have these terrible fights, 3 times a year. Then it was every, other month, and now it's every month, and eventually it's every week, and now it's every 3 days. That's what I mean by escalation, and it gets worse. I'm swearing way more, I'm screaming way more, and then it's a new escalation. So we don't want to start that pattern, especially if you are newly married, right? We want to lay like a really healthy foundation where we just don't do these things. And it is possible to not do them. It is not impossible to not curse. It's not impossible to not call names. It's not impossible to not yell. All of those things are doable and possible, but it really starts with us controlling ourselves. So that's what we mean by have some parameters. How do you want your difficult conversations to look? What are the boundaries, right? So what we do is we agree on this before time, and I recommend couples write them out. So these are like our ways in which we're going to talk with each other. And then if we're in this conversation and maybe I call you a name, then you could say, hey, you just called me a name. And I would say, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I need to take a break. Or maybe you could warn me and I would say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it again. And I don't do it again. So it's up to you. You could give one warning, but for sure, the second time it happens, for any reason within the same conversation, you automatically take a break. There is no getting around that. So we say, okay, we take a break. That's it. So here's how to take a break in a healthy way. You want to have your break outlined outside of a difficult time. So it would be, okay, when we take a break, I'm going to walk around the neighborhood this way. You walk around the neighborhood this way. When we get back, we're going to sit down and try it again. So you know it's time to take a break because you are breaking the parameter you said you would operate. Name calling, yelling, interrupting, cursing. And then it's, nope, that happened. We take a break, take a walk. You physically want to move your body. Here's the other problem. A lot of times when couples take a break, it's just this ambiguous bit of time. It's just we're taking a break and there's no follow-up. And what happens is, well, if I'm the one who really wants the conversation and you're the one who really doesn't, when we then you ask for a break because you feel you're losing self-control or you're getting heated or we just needed a break because you called me a name, then there's never coming back to it. There is no time where we reconcile and finish our conversation. So the next time needing a break comes up, I'm even less likely to want you to take a break. So now I'm trying to get you to, hang on. I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't want you to leave. I don't want you to quit talking because it was hard enough for this conversation to come up. And now if you take a break, how in the world am I ever going to get you back here talking again? So I'm not wanting you to leave. And that, again, not good, because if somebody's already losing control and now I'm putting all this pressure and trying to force them, that can look a lot of ways. And so it's really important that when we do that, if someone says they need a break, or if we're saying that, we need a break, we really need to honor that. So here's the trick. What you want to do once you take the break is have a conversation. So I'm going around the neighborhood this way, you're going around the neighborhood this way, and when we come back, we try it again. We sit back down and we try it again. If you don't have the option to walk around a neighborhood or something like that, then what you can do is just say, okay, we're going to take a break for 20 minutes. And then in 20 minutes, we're going to meet back at the table. And both people be responsible. Both people honor that. So if we said 20 minutes, then I'm going to make sure I set a timer on my phone and I'm going to park it right back at that kitchen table after 20 minutes. No one should be coming to look for me. I do not need to be hunting down my partner. If we both want this relationship to work, this is what we've agreed to, and this is what we are going to do. So having a plan for what the break's going to look like, how long the break's going to be, and where we meet back when it's done. All of that needs to happen outside of a moment where you need a break. So you should already have this planned out, like, hey, I learned this cool thing. It's called taking a break. The next time we call names, yell, curse, interrupt each other, any of those things, then let's try to take a break. And we'll wait 20 minutes, we'll set an alarm, and then we'll come back to it and try it again. That really helps. So have a plan outside of needing to take a break. And now having those parameters, you know when you need to take a break. So again, you can find all this and more from my book, Do I? It's available on Amazon. I will put the link in the description. Also, I'll leave some more videos on the screen that you can go watch so that you can learn more about relational trauma with some tips and some tricks on how to overcome it. So take good care, and I'll see you in the next one.